These are the type of games that just really define you as a player. I mean, we are seeing some amazing, amazing stuff here.
Beautiful spread here. The Vikings are definitely going to win the battle in the air. But what about the battle on the ground?
I am Artosis, he is Legionnaire, and we're going right into game number 2 of T-Gun against Light.
Let's see if they die here, Artosis. Big attack from Edge. Infestus going into siege tank fire a little bit here, losing quite a lot, but I think that...
I think he has enough here, and it looks like just a few Marines left over.
You've got as close as humanly possible to give your China the lost it all. So
that would be devastating.
That's tough.
The T-Gun kills everything, bringing in slings and targeting down Infestors, and T-Gun does a great job.
Today and tomorrow, WCS Australia is $10,000. Any questions?
Best of luck, guys.
What that guy said.
We're going to have an engagement here.
Oh man, and these Marines and Marauders are in a bad spot, but here we go. China spread out a little bit, might bring some of the Marines back.
Before I went to WCS Australia, I didn't know many of the players very well. I had heard and played against a little bit on the ladder, like Pig and Iagas, and I knew T-Gun. He had come to Korea for a little bit. But overall, the scene was a little bit unknown to me, and kind of as I dug in, I started to learn about some of the other guys as well, like Mafia, and became pretty impressed before I got down there. These guys were pretty legit.
Nice fungal going off, but he will get the Marines out here.
And no fungals left, at least Infestus.
At the same time, at the third base, he's stimming it right in. Only one spine crawler.
Firing on the Banelings from Nightlight, just absolutely perfect right there. That was unreal. Beautiful micro from Nightlight.
It was our biggest tournament to date. The money was incredible. It was 25 grand for like in pool for Oceania, and I think maybe half that for Australia, and that was all this one weekend. So everyone wanted to be a part of that because they wanted to qualify for Oceania. They wanted to go to the Blizzard World Finals in Shanghai.
Blade is in so much trouble here.
Investigators coming up, Fungals going down, and there it is, GG!
If these wings don't fail me, I'll meet you anywhere. 'Cause ain't no grave gonna hold me down. Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down.
Receiving incoming transmission.
StarCraft 2 live down under with Tastosis, HD, and Pain User. It's about time.
That was so cool. I didn't know that they prepared that.
Yeah, I never thought I'd have Tychus Findlay introducing me on a cast. That's pretty badass.
I think at first when it was announced, it didn't really sink in what it meant. But then I think as the details were slowly released and they kind of said, hey, we're actually going to set this up in every country around the world that has a decent StarCraft presence. And then when we found out what sort of investment they were putting into the Australian tournament, it was amazing.
There was like a bit of drama with people going, oh, we don't know max capacity. What are these tickets? Do we actually have a physical ticket? Well, where are our seats? Where do we get allocated? What happens when the venue's full? Where do we stand?
They had a limited number of seats available, which was pretty scary for most people. A lot of people got a bit mad about it because they thought there wouldn't be enough space.
I think getting a ticket would have been hard. I mean, they were gone in less than an hour, weren't they? Like, they were done very quickly. Thankfully, they just opened the doors on day 2, although that didn't really, the information didn't get out there that the doors were open for day 2, so not too many people that didn't come on day 1 came on day 2.
It was really cool seeing how many people showed up, and the fact that the tickets sold out so quickly was really amazing. I don't think that they should have rented a bigger hall because I think this exceeded everyone's expectations for who would actually want to show up.
The audience was outstanding for WCS 2012. It was so easy. You just say anything and they'd cheer.
That makes me happy.
You'd lift your arm and they'd lift their arm. You'd do anything and they'd imitate. They'd shout stuff at you. You'd shout back. It was all good fun. They were so receptive. You could say the back make noise, the front make noise, and they just do it. It was like conducting an orchestra. It was just so easy.
G'day guys, how you doing?
It was insane, wall to wall, people everywhere watching, and it kind of, in fact, I'm kind of getting chills again describing it years later, because it was so awesome to see like all that passion, all that energy, all that enthusiasm for the local esports scene. This wasn't even like, let's say, a GSL finals or something. It was just the local Australians who are very good players, but not necessarily the top in the world. And to see all these people so excited to get together, you know, everyone's showing up there and cheering their heads off during the games. Everyone's at bar crafts, having drinks and talking about it and having fun. It was really, really nice.
She attended a local bar craft. So,
you guys have some pretty badass bar crafts here.
We are definitely back to
those
the saddle.
guys
We
down
definitely
at the
had a few drinks down there. That was a good
to
time.
the guys down there at the Ships Inn. Finish your drinks.
Finish your drinks right now. Actually, are there people still drinking in here? All right, bottoms up. Let's do this.
I think it was because of the amount of excitement from that venue. I mean, even though there was like downtime and issues backstage, the crowd didn't care. I mean, there was a bar, there was cheerfuls everywhere, everyone else there and there was excited as each other. And I think that when you're surrounded by excited people, you feed off the energy as a spectator and also on stage as well.
My first impressions of the event was it's definitely the biggest and best event Australia's ever had for StarCraft 2, and I think maybe even esports in general at that point. Like just the venue itself was such a nice venue. The fact that they had banners of every player playing, like lining the walls, and you know, there was a lot of money involved, and like every player from Australia that was in the competitive scene wanted to win it, wanted to do their best, and so everyone was, you know, at the highest level. They were all practiced very much, and yeah, it was an amazing event to attend.
There was a lot more emotion, a lot more stories going on within the tournament. I thought that was something really cool that we could bring to the table, and I really hope that we were able to capture that, because WCS, again, being such a first for us, we didn't know if we'd be able to pull that off and really show people what we were all about. It's not just, yeah, we have quality players, we have players that you like, you know, that you want to cheer for. People like, I guess he's quite a character, people like T-Gun, who's just raw emotion, which is really cool.
It was really refreshing to have like a whole crowd of Aussies cheering on the Australian players. So that alone just made me feel so pumped, like made me feel like I had to do well here. I had to win it because it was the biggest and best tournament with the best crowd and everything like that. It was all really impressive. Like I was not expecting that many people to show up and cheer for Australians.
Yeah, the prize pool of $25,000 was just massive. It was unheard of in C in general. Like we've had maybe a couple of thousand here and there, but never 25,000 spread amongst pretty much the same top 8 favorites for the tournament. Everyone had dollar signs in their eyes pretty much. And it certainly heated up the competition because everyone was hiding builds, no one wanted to practice with each other, and they were just kind of trying to keep really closely secret, stay within their teams, and even within the teams they didn't want to practice against people too much, and it was pretty isolated time at the same, like WCS brought everyone together, but at the same time everyone was kind of going their separate ways to try and give themselves the best chance possible of winning a share of that $25,000 pool.
If the prize money was half as much, you still would have seen the same level of commitment from the players. I think the prize money was a nice bonus on top of everything else. I think the real opportunity was they kind of got this vision of how prestigious this event would be, how big it would be on the global scale, and compared to what we'd had in previous years, you know, we had the BattleNet Invitational in 2011 in a Sydney internet cafe with no spectators, a really shoddy stream. Suddenly this comes out of nowhere, and it's big, it's prestige, you got Tasteless and Artosis, Pain User and HD, you know, you got all these big names here. You want to be that guy, you want to be the guy walking down the carpet in the booth, you know, you want to be shown off to the world. I think that was the real value of the event to the players, and the prize money on the side is just a nice touch. I mean, when I talk to people like Moonglade and Pig, and even every now and then I spoke to Mafia about it, you talk about their memories from the event, no one ever mentions the money. It's all about the memories and, you know, what it was like to be up in those booths, which is really cool.
Like it's such a mix of emotion, you know, like playing was amazing, and like being up there on stage was like the best thing ever, you know. And then losing was obviously like the worst moment, so it's really difficult to just sort of describe it in one term.
When your goal is to make it to the next round and you're in the final match to determine that, it's an elimination match, there is no more pressure than that. That is the most pressure you can feel as a pro gamer to represent Australia and New Zealand. Both these players want this so badly, and the next tournament is so prestigious. There's a ton of money on the line, and who knows, one of them could become the world champion.
So people were definitely feeling the urgency about getting into there, for sure. I mean, and I dare say it was largely to do because of, obviously, Artosis and Tasteless were going to be there, and they were going to sign, they were going to meet fans.
Honestly, the casters were the much bigger focus than the prize money was. The prize money was certainly, one of the best prize pools that we had seen up until that point, but the casters certainly were huge as far as that's concerned. Even just getting, like, the initial announcement, I believe, was Pain User and HD. People were excited about that, getting international guests that come and cast, like, that really built up a lot. But then obviously getting, the Tastosis, the casting Archon through, just sent everything, just sent everybody crazy. It went through the roof.
When we learned that we would be able to cast WCS Australia, Nick and I were just over the moon. We were so happy because Australia, that's just somewhere we've never been. We never thought there'd be some big event there that we could go down and do. So we were just like really ecstatic to be able to even go down and check it out and go to Sydney and meet all the Australian guys. So it was just like pretty much elation. It's one of those places that you really would love to do an event, but you don't think there's going to be one there.
It looks like it's dead. Like, when you look at his eyes, man, it's like not like a cute animal. All right. Look, I'm holding a dead animal. Get this thing back up here.
Yeah, man, that's pretty cute. Our koala looked like that, not like that. This is like the cartoon version of koala.
This is actually like offensive to koalas.
Yeah.
That's what they look like. Yeah.
I am Echidna. An echidna mite. That's it. Crikey.
Take it inside.
Oh my God. Look at that. We got a map too. We'll see. Oh my God, that's like look at. There's a street, and there's where the photo was taken.
Yeah.
I guessed you're right. All right.
You didn't believe me.
I can see you guys have dragons in your backyard.
Dragons are real.
Australia doesn't have like an air force. They have like knights on horses and shit to slay the dragons.
The casters were the focal point. I mean, without the casters, there wouldn't have been near as many people show up. I wish there was. I wish the scene was bigger. But at the end of the day, the majority of that crowd was there because Tastosis were there, and to a lesser extent, you had HD and I think it was Pain User there as well. And it sort of struck a nerve with me that there was a lot of resources spent on getting these international casters over instead of trying to sort of promote our own caster. Obviously, Maynard jumped in a couple times. It was just weird that the focal point of it wasn't. It was still on the players, but a lot of it was that we had international casters coming over.
They had great casters at all the WCS events that year, but without them, it would have been like a lot worse than what it was, just in terms of overall exposure.
I think it goes without saying that a lot of the prestige and popularity behind the event came from them. It's kind of the bonus of bringing them along and attaching them to an event. You can guarantee that you're going to get a lot of eyes on the event. And it was a nice treat for the Australians as spectators. Even for the players who were eliminated, they still had something amazing to look forward to after the event was over, unless you're T-Gun and you just get a bit sad. But everyone else was really pumped. They're like, you know what, I'm knocked out, but I can sit in this crazy, amazing crowd and watch the two best commentators in the world commentate some of the best players in Australia, which is pretty fantastic.
The casters were great. They were really friendly, really nice. The people and the passion that everyone had for the game was so good. The games were amazing. Just the intensity of how behind the game you could get. Like, I feel excited when I'm at LANs, I enjoy them, but nothing came close to this. It was like it was, your favorite sporting team playing against, their bitter rival, and you were that emotionally invested into each match. It was just, one of the more exciting events I've ever been to.
The game that stands out for me, and I think it would for most people, was I believe it was Mafia vs T-Gun, absolutely. I was actually watching in the crowd for that game because that was getting towards the end of the tournament.
I think my favourite match would have been T-Gun vs Mafia because there was so much emotional investment for a lot of us into that match. We're all sitting there just like dead silent, staring at the screen, and everyone else is cheering, and for a lot of us, because we're friends with them.
God, this is actually craziness right now.
All right, he could sneak up on the Army too. No oversteer with that Army.
But if he fungles those patches, if he sees it and fungles, then that reveals.
Like the Jaws music should be playing right now.
Oh my God.
It was cool because that was one of the only games I actually managed to sneak out from the admin area to be in the audience, and hearing the crowd build up in that exact moment was, it was chilling. Yeah, it's just the build up, the suspense, and yeah, I don't know, I think that's a really good demonstration of exactly what StarCraft can be all about when the entire crowd just explodes with passion like that. That was really cool.
They were friends. We didn't want either one to lose. We knew how much it meant to both players, and both of them were putting a lot into this moment. You know, if they didn't make it, they were going to be one of those people that was like, well, do I keep going with StarCraft if I missed my one big chance? So
I would have rather lose more convincingly than what happened, because people coming up and saying it was the closest game like they've ever seen, it just puts in my head that if I played just a little bit better, it would have all worked. Instead of such a close game, it was probably the reason I quit StarCraft was right about then, because I couldn't ever bounce back from it. I was just really disheartened from it.
The level of play back then, relative to the world, nowhere near what the creme de la creme would have pulled out. Like the Koreans would probably have destroyed everyone at WCS 2012 in Australia and Oceania, bar one or two guys, but the crowd didn't care because they were excited that they were getting something amazing.
The competition at WCS Australia really kind of blew me away. I wasn't expecting that much, to be honest. I knew that Moonglade would put on fantastic games. I knew that Mafia would put on fantastic games because I knew he was pretty high up on the GM Korean ladder. But other than that, you know, the players I just considered to be very good players, not top-end players, people like Iagas, Pig, T-Gun. Like, I knew who these guys were, so yeah, they were quite good. But then we had some other surprises. For instance, Telia was just insanely good, and I believe it was against Moonglade. It was years ago, so I might not remember right, but there was like a fantastic match. Just both players went to their limits, and overall the level was a lot higher than what I was expecting going down.
Here we go. Yeah. Here we go, man. Moonglade coming in with a big army. He's actually using the Corruptors to hold off the air so he can get his ground over to the left side. Sniping all the Infestors. That was so well done. Oh my God.
That game, I definitely made my mistakes in the early to mid game, so I was kind of like in that late game, even while the game was still going for like the next 20 minutes or so, I was kind of like, I shouldn't have got myself in that position, so you know, it was long-winded, but at the end of it, I just laughed because I knew like I'm still the favorite against this player, and I can bring it back. I just can't slip up in the final game. But I think the crowd loved it, which was a good thing as well. I heard a lot of cheers after that one, so it was a bit of fun. It was a nice
think
match.
Something like this would work. This is something you'd see in like a Diamond game or something, but he's against Moonglade right now, right?
Yeah, well, that's not
he's
a Diamond
playing against
player,
an
man.
excellent Zerg player.
Yeah, everyone wanted to impress the crowd. It was a big thing. Like, I think if there was no crowd, I would have either straight up won 2-0 or lost 2-0. I can't say which. Mafia used to get the better of me in practice, but there was a lot of showmanship. Like, if you could go back and watch someone like Light, when the camera was on him pre-game, he was loving it. You know, I'm obviously a very emotional player, so I was excited to have the camera on me and all that, and it definitely helped. Not in the fact that the crowd could influence what we were doing, but we were all trying even harder than normal just to, you know, impress these couple hundred people that were there live.
Everyone was buzzing and really happy about that tournament for the most part. Like, there was not too many criticisms other than the fact that there was downtime. I kind of got confused why Blizzard decided after WCS 2012 that it wasn't a success. They must have. I mean, they didn't straight up say it, but they must have, because we didn't have a WCS Australia the year afterwards. It's a pretty good sign that something didn't go up to plan.
In 2012 and 2013 for WCS, hurt Australia more than most regions. I think Australia and China and Taiwan and whatnot kind of got a little bit shafted where they're kind of playing just for a few spots. Whereas I would say overall the Australian level is probably as high or higher than, like, let's say America.
I think that the former format where there was an Australian league per se, where the Australian team was actually that one event that we had down there in Australia, I think that was very, very healthy for the scene. Nowadays, even though there are 2 seeds to go into WCS America, I think the older format was probably better for the growth of the scene.
I think maybe the wealth of talent isn't enough to attract enough eyes there. So them being fed into the American system does pretty well for them right now, as long as that they can, compete properly and not have to deal with big issues.
We did several WCS events, and of course I watched a lot of them as well, and I would say that as far as like a national finals go, the best one was in fact WCS Australia. The area that they rented out was like this museum type of train station thing, and it was like so big and so nice and so cool, and it had way more people show up than to any of the other events that I saw. The fans were like way more passionate. The production was awesome. There was some great local talent there as well, like Maynard. And it was like an amazing WCS. I think that the Australian WCS really encompasses what Blizzard was trying to have happen in 2012.